Hey, B. Honey, listen. We got to talk about some Real Housewives, the Bravo wives. We got to get into it. Or shall I say former wives? Well, one of them is a wife, the other two are former. But or soon to be former for one of them. We gonna talk about it. But before we do, I want to say shout out to everybody that has gotten their tickets for the Ladies first podcast live experience, honey. Shout out to you all. It will take place on this Saturday. And I'm so excited to meet and see you guys. All right. I'm super excited about it. So shout out to y'all, for loving on us and wanting to come through and enjoy good times and good vibes with the ladies. Okay. Shout out to y'all. I want to say that it's a very, very sad day for Jody, my Jody. Drew, my Drew. Child, y'all know Drew has been dealing with this divorce with Ralph. And I really hated for her. I wish they would have figured it out, but it just seemed like Ralph wasn't really trying to. I blame Ralph. I'm always, and Ralph know that. Ralph, I'ma always blame you. Understand? But outside of that, they're dealing with this divorce and stuff. And Drew done lost custody of the kids, during the school time, and the judge told her she had to get the hell out the house by the end of May, right? Well, Drew asked the judge, "Can you reconsider this? Because I gotta leave the house with my oldest son, and we finna be homeless. Like, what you talking about?" Her judge said, "I don't give a damn. You should have been thinking about that." Okay. And since you didn't think about making sure those kids got to school how they were supposed to and didn't think about how they was going to do therapy and stuff, then I guess you're going to be thinking about where the hell you're going to stay at because I don't give a damn. And Greta, judges can be very, 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 very harsh. Very, very harsh. You mean to tell me that man could stay in the damn basement this very long periodically time, but she got to get the hell out? Y'all know Drew came and dropped text messages and everything between she and Ralph. I mean, it seemed as though Ralph was taking care of a lot of the bills, and maybe that's why the judge was like, "You can stay in the house because you're gonna be paying majority of the bills or whatever. So because you're gonna be paying the bills, might as well stay in the house." Okay. Him downstairs. Not sure what's what or why he got to stay down there, but what we do know is unfortunately for Drew Sidora, she is to get the fuck out. Girl, all I think about is you done fucked up the thing. Just a little piece. Sitting over there trusting Ralph in my personal. Trusting Ralph while you sitting over there going away to film and all this and that, thinking that man got a piece of your back. And the whole time it left you play because you were the primary custodial parent. And I feel like based on those text messages, from what I already said and reading those text messages, Ralph was very well versed in the law. Okay. While Drew was over there reading scripts, Ralph was over there reading other paperwork, legal paperwork at that, and getting a full understanding of how he was going to get this situation turned the hell around. All right. And that's what it is. Very sad and unfortunate. So hopefully Drew can figure out a place for her to stay. Maybe somebody got a place. But I mean, Angela did just buy a house, didn't it? Angela just bought a property, girl. I mean, Angela did just buy a property. I mean, maybe. I don't know, girl. I wish Drew the best. I don't know what to say. I'm outdone, honey. I'm outdone. I really am. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but that's what's going on with Drew, honey. Girl, why is all the housewives? Why it seem like everybody getting their ass evicted? Portia was the only one that said, "You're not gonna put me the fuck out. I'll sell my other house and get a piece of the equity and use that money to take care of the house I'm in before I get put the fuck out." Okay. Child, y'all leave y'all thoughts on that. As we speak on, Portia did a sit down interview with Carlos King. I watched the whole thing. We'll talk about some more of it tomorrow night on the Ladies First because we still will be doing our show. It won't be as long. It'll be pretty short. Talking about a quick few topics with you guys on my channel on tomorrow. So we'll get into that. But the interview wasn't that bad to me. There were some things that I definitely had questions about listening to it. What I could appreciate was Portia taking accountability for what all took place between her and Simon, knowing that he was still married to Fallon. I don't really care nothing about, so, oh, Fallon was doing this in the marriage and that person was doing this and that. Child, people be doing stuff in their marriages and they figure it out and they work it out all at the same time. Okay. So with that being said, girl, we could I'm gonna talk about why we're here. Porsha talked about how, oh, they would, and Carlos assisted her, and people don't know how the dynamics of reality TV works, where you bring a person onto the show as though they are your friend when they're not really your friend. That's not, for me, why Porsha was being judged, because she brought that lady on the show as her friend. It was the aftermath. Once you brought her on the show as your friend, you begin to establish a friendship, so much so that you were hanging out with her. There was a budding relationship, a budding friendship that was happening between the both of y'all at the end of the day. And I feel like if the roles were reversed and based on Porsha's stardom and her fans and her success and all of that, we would have felt the way about Fallon. Okay, I know I would have. If it would at the time, the way that I really love me some Porsha, if Fallon would have did that to Porsha, I would have been on Fallon head. I'm not gonna hold you. Okay. I'm not gonna hold you. So if the roles were reversed and it wasn't right for Porsha. Period. But I see how she tried to kind of like, you know, change it up just a little bit or whatever the case was. But all in all, accountability was taken, whether people want to accept or believe or not. And you can tell she's at that place where she's ready to move forward. And for me, I'll never forget what happened, but I'm not trying to be a person, and I'm not a person that's going to constantly hold that against you forever. You know what I'm saying? Like some of y'all fans do. Okay. But if it was turned on you, you won't want that same energy. Okay. You won't want somebody to still be bringing up something you did 5 years ago. Now, would you? Still being on your head top swinging. But either way, I feel like I'll give her that space to grow. I did like the interview, but like I said, there was some things that I had few little questions about, child, when she was over there talking about the money that Go Naked and stuff has made. And if it's made millions along with Pampered by Porsha, I love that for her. Okay, you better be making millions, but at the same time, how are the companies looking, considering the fact that you abandoned everything and took the salary that Simon was giving you? Um, how is that working? I'm sure some stuff came in, but didn't she talk about at a previous time how she really let everything fall to the wayside because she was so focused on being a wife to him? So there were some things that were questionable. And but all in all, I think y'all should watch the interview for yourself to get a feel of it, because I thought that for the most part I liked the interview. Um and I'm cool. But y'all let me know y'all thoughts. Another thing with Portia, she talked about Sway. Y'all know Sway, she's been dating her for quite a few months now. She sees Sway in her future. I don't. If they do make it, that would be fantastic, because I'm not one to wish that they don't make it, I'm not one of those people. But at the same time, I just always feel like Portia gonna go back to Dennis. That's why. And she probably, girl, if she listened to this, she probably rolling her eyes hard as hell. Okay. But I just be feeling like whenever they get together, first of all, whenever Portia has a breakup, she always runs to Dennis and Lauren. Okay. And maybe Dennis could be like a brother to her at this point, but that's impossible when you guys share a child together. But I do feel like Dennis is one of Portia's best friends. I don't care. I do not care how much they make each other mad and stuff. Like, there is still a lot of care between these two individuals, and it's not going away as they constantly see each other all the time. So I don't know. I feel like at some point when they get a bit older, in her later part of her 40s, probably early 50s, she probably just gonna say, and he gonna do the same thing. And Dennis, you look like you about already there. Okay. But they probably gonna go on, settle down or something like that. I feel like Dennis's girlfriend should feel disrespected how key. Cause you over there sleek at Portia house, flirting with her, knowing that you got a girlfriend at the house. You so disrespect. And then you worried about who Portia dang? Don't you got somebody else to be worried about? Anyway, but I feel like they probably gonna end up back together in some way, shape, or form. Those are my thoughts. But we shall see. We shall see. And then also, I think with Portia's track record in relationships, although she is dating a woman versus dating a man, you just never know. Cause Portia be like, baby, head down as I place my feet. Okay. Period. Y'all know what I'm talking about, Beyonce. So listen, that's where Portia is. Okay. So she loves love and all of that. But we'll see how things go with her and Sway. And then that man told her she was gonna have a problem in lesbian relationship, period. So that's another reason why I don't think it's gonna ultimately work completely. But I think it will be maybe it'd probably be a long relationship. Okay. Maybe not a forever relationship, but whatever. Best of luck to Porsha in that. She does touch on K Michelle. And before we get into what she had to say about K Michelle, okay, K Michelle was down on the X, okay, the Twitter, and she had some things to say. And it just seems like to me that K may be taking it, she may be having a tough time with the audience and stuff. And it's like, K, you're gonna have to scoot back just a little bit. Just a little bit, okay? Because these fans, I told you, these fans are not loving hip hop fans. Okay. These are not the same fans, but I want to get it up on the screen so that you guys can see some of the stuff that K Michelle had to say over on her Twitter page. Let me get that up for you guys. All right. So here we are. This is where K Michelle comes to the people. All right. Late night to let them know a few things. She says, shut the fuck up. Shut up. I'm literally so annoyed and sick of y'all sit around and talk all day. I'm done with the shenanigans. I'm not an OG. I don't give a fuck. I am K Michelle. I will speak as I want, tweet as I want, and marry who the fuck I want. I've been through hell with this man. None of you will validate what we are. I said what I said. Now, I don't know how the hell y'all got in her comments and started talking about her husband. Is she reading old tweets and old comments from the interview she had with Jason Lee and other interviews? Old tweets from when you guys were, when she first introduced her husband and stuff? Like an episode, like what, 2 episodes ago or so? Or are y'all still bothering this lady about her husband and stuff? Okay. Now, Kay, I know you said that you're gonna tweet as you want, but in my personal, okay, the way Bravo has shown up with other housewives, I don't think it would be much different for you. In my honest opinion, that nobody asked for. Okay. So with that being said, it was cute when they did toxic tweets from Kay, but they not gonna let that last for a long periodical time. Okay. They not gonna be on board for a long time. I'll be very surprised if they do. If so, reparations need to be given to other women that were fined for their actions on social media. Okay? So, but I hear you, girl. You're gonna do what you want to do because that's just how you is. I get that. All right. But then Bravo gonna come in and let you know what they gonna do because that's just how they is. Just like these fans. But let's keep going. So this guy gets in the comments and says, it's so funny seeing you struggle trying to keep these tweets clean like a housewife. I can imagine the Love and Hip Hop version. Laugh my ass off. Now she's struggling to try and keep it clean. What the fuck? I don't feel like Kay is struggling to keep it clean, really. I mean, maybe so. Like when she had tweeted out, did she tweet out Bimbo or something like that? I can't remember. I think it was Bimbo that she tweeted out. Maybe she would have been more direct in the past. Maybe so. Maybe so. So then she says struggle. She says, I'm not struggling with shit. Oh, okay. 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 I ain't even mean no harm. Is what I'm thinking the person is thinking, but okay. So she said, struggle. I'm not struggling with shit. I talk and express myself. I don't know why y'all are making me being on TV such a life-changing thing. Okay, Kay, I think you projected on this person. Just a little bit. She says, y'all have really created a reality in your head that isn't mine. Huh? Yeah, you projected because he ain't even much talking about that. Struggle. I ain't struggling with shit. He just said you struggling to keep the tweets clean. Like you really want to go off on the BIT for real, like really like lay into her, but you got to scale it back just a little piece because of the Bravo contract. And maybe I'm misunderstanding. I talk and express myself. I don't know why y'all making me being on a TV show such a life-changing thing. Because of how Bravo has shown up with other ladies and they don't want you doing certain things on social media. Y'all have really created a reality in your head that isn't mine. Okay. Well, I'll leave it right there, child. Y'all can, girl, let me be quiet. I don't want her to come over here try to tag on me, honey. Okay. Child, but a lot of people are having things to say down in her comments. Not somebody saying you crashing out already. Yikes, this is crazy. We only on episode 5. They said I can't get out that lady comments because y'all just going too far. Okay? Y'all been going too far. That's why she coming down to the internet now to snap on y'all. Okay, but either way, I
I
want to
don't
get
think this is the
into
route.
this conversation that Porsha had with Carlos King. So let me get this up. And this is where she talks about K Michelle and her dynamics. She also goes on to discuss K Michelle and Drew Sidora's relationship on the show and how she doesn't think things are going to go the way that, Kay thinks is going to go. So, child, I'm like, I already kind of see that just a little bit. I'm already kind of seeing that, but let me load this up for you guys and we will get into this video. Okay. Get this over here.
After the episode aired, where we saw the episode end and it seemed like y'all hugged it out, everything was good, but then the tweets started to happen afterwards where she sort of is doubling down on she doesn't trust you. What do you have to say about that?
I think that's another situation where someone has decided that this is the route they need to take.
Mm.
I don't think this is a route that K Michelle needs to take or has to take. I think it's the wrong road.
Ooh.
But at the end of the day, if you have been watching the show and then you are finally on the show, you decide this is how you're going to enter, this is how I'll make my mark, then it is what it is. This is the game she decides to play. And I only say that because whether or not, and I will say, when I said it to her, I had first asked her, was it okay? Did she want to openly speak about her situation? Number two, the reason why I asked her, did she want to speak about it on camera, is because I didn't know specifically what it was. No one told us. Even when I text K Michelle prior to that scene at the nail shop, I was like, hey, you're in the hospital, are you okay? She said, oh yeah, I had to have a procedure or whatever. She never told me what it was for. So I had no idea which part of her was, a problem. I had no idea. So, of course, as a woman, I know we making TV. It is what it is. I'm not going to just sit here and start asking her about what she was in the hospital for, what procedure, if she's not ready. So I wanted to first say, hey, are you good talking about it? Because at the end of the day, I don't care if this is our job to speak about personal stuff or not. I don't care if she talks about it in a scene with her doctor on camera or not. If I then need to pivot the conversation away from specifics, I'm going to do that. But she said, yeah, I'm okay, yeah. And she proceeded to tell us what was going on. Unfortunately, she was bearing the lead.
Oh, so Portia was asking that in the effort to, I guess, support K Michelle. So if she doesn't want to talk about that, she would have assisted in changing that conversation. Let's get into some other things because we won't be getting into that. Okay. Okay. Also, Portia saying wrong road. To me, this is what I hear when Portia says that. I hear I'm a fan favorite and you just got here. My spot is solidified, but you better be able to take it when the fans get on your ass type of thing. Like that's what I'm getting. Y'all let me know what y'all are getting from that part of what Portia just said.
She went on to the store for a while before she even mentioned it was her bottom. During that time, we're standing there and I'm like, oh, what she was describing mirrored what I had been through. Sitting there in a pool of fluid. Same thing had happened to me prior to having Pilar. Pilar's my rainbow baby. But I had a miscarriage at home by myself, woke up, same thing. So I was like, oh, so it came to mind, was it a miscarriage? Right after that, she giggled and said, girl, I thought the same thing. We moved on with the conversation. She continued to describe more fluid that did not have blood. Cynthia then said, like your water broke? We're women. All of us are in a trusted space. We all have uteruses, vaginas. And we're talking about things that we all have been through. We're all trying to relate to her for her to open up and, talk about what she's got going on. So in that moment, I didn't feel anything. I didn't, think that anything had offended her. It wasn't until I met with her at the lunch table and she was like, oh, what's when you said miscarriage? I was taken back, like, oh my God, how could you think that I would, try to offend you or, call you out or even, oh my God, make fun of you about a miscarriage? And I could have gone all like, well, how could you think? But I said, you know what? Respect how she feels. Whether she thinks I meant it, whether I did not mean it, whatever my intentions were, this is how she feels. So in that moment, I said to her, I apologize. Forget my excuse of, oh, I have been through before, because none of that fucking matters. If you genuinely feel like what I said offended you, okay, I hear you. And I'll never do that again. I'll be careful and make sure that I temper or wait till you go ahead and say what was going on. So in that moment, I felt like we handled that conversation very adult, very mature. And I remember telling her at that lunch table, I said to her, what I want to do with you, I want to show you how I friend. And I'm not saying that I friend better than her, but I wanted to give her a different experience in Atlanta because she had cried to me about being in Atlanta and having a friendship group, which was from Love and Hip Hop, and they treated her wrong and they ran out of here and they were so unfair to her. And I told her that day she told me that story, and I told her that day at that lunch table, I said, I know what you've been through, and I know what triggers you have. I know you could be sensitive. I said, I want you to know I'm not that girl. And the people who I have around you, Cynthia and Phaedra, we're not those girls. I am the type of person, I want to protect my friend, I want to be there for you, and I'm genuine. So I told her, I'm going to show you how I friend. And the way we're having this conversation right now, I appreciate you coming to me, let's talk about it. I also want to talk to you. Now, at the time, I had no idea she had done a whole scene with Pinky and a scene with Cynthia calling me dumb and a this and a that. I was like, oh, goodness.
When you watch it for the first
I have to pause right here before Carlos goes in. Let me rewind it slightly. But now when she talks about her, Cynthia Phaedra, trying to embrace her, to me, and y'all let me know, maybe she is on the wrong team a little bit, because it sounds like the veterans of the show tried to rally around and show support to yet another veteran in reality TV. But you want to play a different type of game. So, okay, we got you. Okay. We trying to show you love. We not them loving hip hop ladies, like, and neither is these fans, honey. This ain't them loving hip hop fans. Some of them, but not like that. You know what I'm saying? They're a little more crazy than that. But either way, y'all please let me know. Y'all think wrong road, wrong team? Get with the winning team. What y'all think?
I was like, oh, goodness.
When you watch it for the first time, how did it make you feel?
So when I watched K. Michelle go, when I watched Michelle, her punishment was too hard for what she called the crime. I said, okay. I picked them up on, I texted her. Because that's how I am. Ask Candy, ask anybody, ask Sheree. If you do, I'm going to text right away as I'm watching the show. And I said, hey, I just want you to know, I'm watching the show, and I see that you still didn't feel, or you were still upset with, me speaking to you about the situation. I said, I want you to know I am sincere, and that I never would have wanted to offend you about that. When I spoke with Shamia, she never told me any detail. You never told me anything of a detail of your bottom. I never would have done that, and I just want you to know from my heart, even though I saw her call me all them names, I was like, fuck all that. Let me make her as a woman understand that at the root of it, I never would have made fun of you. She said, okay, I truly appreciate that, etc. And, I appreciate you reiterating that you didn't know or blah, blah. So I said, okay, cool. Put the phone down, we were done. Oh my God, the next day, she's tweeting saying, oh, well, what if you was to die? What you doubling down? And I was like, okay, I see what I'm dealing with. And listen, I don't want to go too hard on K. Michelle. I'll just say this. In general, as a person, in any space, you could be at work, it could be a family member, it could be a friend. If you're in any group, and you are talking to somebody and they don't have a heart to understand you, they don't want to understand you, it could be for whatever reason, ratings, or want to be right, or just want to see you as wrong, they're never going to understand. They're never going to actually say out loud, oh, I understand, because they're too busy trying to do something else, whatever that else may be. So I said, okay, cool. So at this point, I know what else happens in the season, and although
I don't know. I'm in my head, I'm thinking about, like, damn, does Kay want somebody to kiss her ass? Like, once she is on the outs with you, does she stay in that space? I'm just thinking until you kind of like kiss her ass until she's over it. I'm trying to figure out how her and Carly Red got back cool. Y'all remind me down in the comments below. Did Carly Red have to kiss K. Michelle ass for them to get back cool? Or did K. Michelle just have like a tough moment and maybe Carly reached out to her when she was going through something? And that's how they got their friendship back on track. I can't recall, but I definitely remember them being out, because that's when we got that famous, this bitch done shook the table, right? They got into it. They weren't talking. She was wearing Carly out left and right. And then eventually they got back cool. And I don't know if that's when K. Michelle left the show or left Atlanta and went over to Hollywood, or if K. Michelle was dealing with something more serious and, Carly reached out, or if Carly spent a substantial amount of time kissing K. Michelle's ass. Not necessarily sure. I don't know, y'all thoughts.
she's funny and she's adorable, I don't know how it's going to go over. I don't think that what was happening with her and Drew is going to go over. And although she's funny and she's adorable, I don't know how it's going to go over. I don't think that what was happening with her and Drew is going to go over as well as maybe she thinks it will. I don't. And I think, if I'm being honest, I think that when she looks back at this first season, she'll probably be like, oh, I probably chose the wrong team. And I probably should have gone about things in a more authentic way.
You think the team that she chose in Shamia, Pinky,
I don't know, because I wasn't privy to those conversations. Okay. I wasn't, I'm not a part of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
well, Porsha, you can't put it out there and pretty much insinuate that and say that, and then now say, I don't know, I wasn't a part of that conversation. Child, we know who you talking about, and Carlos did too. He was right. Go on.
I think that she is a cool girl, but Housewives isn't that. Housewives, at the root of what our fans want to see, back in the day when you were producing this show, It's about what's honest. And if you're talking to someone, we wish somebody would apologize to us back in the day. We used to be like, Tim, can you just apologize? Can you just understand you hurt my feelings? And you still wouldn't get an apology, you know, or whatever it was. And if you had an issue with somebody, it was a real damn issue. Like, and you felt it. You really felt it. And so that's what this is. It's not like little knick-knack, paddywhack, let me just drag this bitch for a bone. No. We used to have, you know what I'm saying? We used to have real stuff going on. So when it comes to like the audience looking at the show and they're like, she said she was sorry. Even if she did do it, she apologized and you still riding it, this looks like you're trying to drag it. You know, this looks like you're doing the most. And so, but you know, it's her first season. She was already an established star. She will be a star far beyond this show. She will have a great career on this show. I just think that this season will probably be a learning lesson for K. Michelle.
I have to agree. I think so. I think it would be a learning lesson for anybody coming into this new environment of ladies and set and all of that. So it'll definitely be a learning experience. There was something that Porsha said at the end. Give me 1 second.
We used to have, you know what I'm saying? We used to have real stuff going on. So when it comes to like the audience looking at
boom, it was the dragging it, right? She felt like K. Michelle may have been dragging the issue that she has with her. And I remember kind of hinting at that when we talked about the previous episode of how K. Michelle sorted out her issues with Porsha, but then she went to Kelly to tell her, I had a moment like you had. I understand why you didn't say anything to her in the moment. That's because you needed time to reflect on how you were being tried. Two totally different situations, in my opinion, as I've said before. But all in all, K. Michelle, she wasn't over it. Even though her and Porsha agreed to moving past it, she wasn't over it, right? Same thing with Kelly. They hugged it out, thought they was over it. Kelly went and said what she said somewhere else. So I don't know, y'all. Y'all leave y'all thoughts. Porsha is like, listen, let's not drag out something that's not necessary. Let's have like a real issue. Like, let me really do something to you. Let me intentionally carry on some fuck shit. Then you could get on my head about it. But as far as this, you know, I didn't mean any harm when I asked if you were referring to a miscarriage. That's not what that was. We got an understanding at the table, and now here you are doing the most online. Right? So I want to hear you all's thoughts and comments, how you guys are receiving K. Michelle so far this season. Are you picking a side? I'm not necessarily picking a side right now. Okay, I'm just assessing all situations for what they are, whether people right or they wrong or it don't make sense or whatever the case is, right? But I want to hear from you all down below in the comments, all right? Of course, I am Jamie, that's me. That's all that I have for you guys at this time. Be sure to like up the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you got a piece of hypes left this week, go ahead and hype up this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'm never politicking the drama.